Rushabh, thank you for talking to Moneycontrol. My first question is, even after the recent correction in the Indian markets, it's still expensive compared to global setup. Is that a cause for concern?
I think the more important question is, how the growth outlook looks, because I think the higher interest rates will have some tempering of growth for the next few quarters at least. So my sense is that the valuations are based on what is the expectation of growth. I sense is that yes, India on a historical basis also has looked higher, more
Mhm.
expensive. So my sense is that the more important question to ask is how is the growth outlook, and that to me is where a little bit of a near-term concern is.
Right. Uh, I mean, we have been range bound for a little period in the recent past. What would be the next big triggers for the market?
It's difficult to predict markets, honestly. So it's not, and it's futile. My sense is that, as I mentioned, that in the next few quarters, at least, uh, the growth outlook will be little more tepid because of what's happening in the environment. The fact that China also opens up is going to put pressure on some of these industries. So our sense is that I don't think so. We have a big trigger either on the upside or on the downside, at least for the near future, unless something happens globally, which we can't
Do you think
contemplate.
inflation will again become a worry? I mean, recent data points from US were worrisome. Will that come back?
Well, I think at least, I mean, I don't know US, but at least in India, it doesn't seem to be too much of a concern
Mhm.
right now. We will have to wait and see. My sense is the biggest question mark will be the how oil and other commodities behave. If that doesn't spike, my sense is in India at least, the inflation concerns will not be any significantly different than what we have seen in the recent past.
Right. Staying with India, two big factors, budget and then RBI rate hikes, possibly over, are out of the way. So, which sectors are looking good?
In fact, we just mentioned about that today, that we see consolidation happening in sectors like where telecom we've seen significant
Mhm.
consolidation. We see similar opportunity coming through as media, the industry that you belong consolidates, as well as a few other industries where we see significant consolidation happening, where we see pricing power coming back, and hopefully with some cyclical upturn, you will see a significant opportunity. Healthcare is another sector that we like a lot, at least the domestically oriented healthcare
Mhm.
companies, where we see a long-term secular growth opportunity. Valuations on these companies generally are not very challenging. So those are the sectors that we like and where we see. And then there are a lot of bottom-up opportunities across sectors like logistics or auto components, some of the auto companies as well. So we see opportunities across a range of industries. But I of course mentioned a few.
Right. What are your views on financials? Last year, bigger outperformance. In the recent past, some cooling down. What is the future like?
Um, in financials, we have reached a point where it is as good as it gets, kind of thing. You've seen the best margins in
Mhm.
terms of NIMs. We've seen the lowest credit cost in many, many years. And we have seen reasonably strong credit growth.
Mhm.
So, you kind of had the best uh, tailwind, if you will call it. We will have to see how the slowdown in the economy impacts the financials in terms of credit costs, in terms of impact on NIMs. So my sense is that they've had great last couple of years, but our sense is that you're reaching a plateau where from here on there is some headwind emerging there, and we'll have to see how it plays out.
Right. So now talking about Dubai Alternate Investment Summit, you must been talking to some global
Yeah.
investors, including NRIs. recently two negatives in the form of Hindenburg report, and then George Soros comments came out. Do you see, have they made global investors wary on India?
My sense is India is a very long-term growth opportunity for most investors. Of course, these kind of things have some near-term effect, but I don't think so. It changes the view of most India investors, including global investors, for the long-term India story. Clearly, yes, there will be some near-term talk about it because of what is happening, but I don't think so. It in any way has a significant impact on medium to long-term prospects.
Right. That's it for now, Rishabh. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you so much.